Okay, we're going to continue on here a little bit. We're going to focus in this section here to bring the leaves around in this particular video, and then carry on into maybe into the top, into the background, and maybe some into the succulent area here to get it done. But we're going to stand up and do a little bit of painting standing today because it's always good to like stand and sit and stand and sit. So, you know, take care of the body while you're doing this. Don't just sit, 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 or stand, stand, stand. Kind of do a combination of the two. Alrighty, thank you.
Oye, bájale el volumen a tus papas, ¿no?
No se puede. Este es el volumen que trae por default Sabritas Receta Crujiente.
Pero no me dejas escuchar el...
Pero nada. Por eso no se permite hacer ruido con...
Okay, I just had to let the table back down so I could sit. I wasn't able to really get a good clean recording of what I was doing in the standing position for this size of a piece. So I let the table down. That's why it changed a little bit.
¿Quieres que tu música llegue a la gente correcta? Futuros fans, A&R.
Okay, so real quick, I've been trying to bring some of this foliage to life instead of it just sitting there looking like it was just placed there, which it was, but I wanted to bring it to life a little bit more. And also, I really was really trying to define the different leaves, and so I'm gonna move into this area again. Also, I was trying to start on the succulents here to start to bring them in, the little succulents. There's going to be some succulents here, but I think I'm just going to, just put some little shapes and imply maybe a little blending to so it can be able to show some roundness to some extent. Subtle succulents. Okay, so I think it's coming along really well. I'm enjoying it. I think I'm gonna when I get I'm gonna stop for that for a minute. I'm gonna come back into these leaves because I want to try to bring out a little bit more of the visibility, the brightness, that illumination that comes from the leaf. When the sunlight is hitting it, it's kind of reflecting a little bit of glow, illumination. Even though the texture of these leaves are more like a not a smooth surface, so it'd be incredibly reflective, but it's going to have some subtle reflection in it. So we're going to try to capture that also. Okay, I've been muting the mic and just doing the painting process, just letting the music play in the background, so I can accomplish two things. If someone comes in the room or the cats hop up, or the main thing I wanted to get rid of was the squeak in the chair. I know my chair squeaks quite a bit, and so I wanted to try to eliminate that in the video recording. So, okay, enough said. Let's get back to work.
Si estás en SoundCloud es porque estás obsesionado con la música y los...
So what I'm doing here is as I progress in the piece, my strokes become more deliberate. Um, but like I was doing it deliberate but loose, but they're more deliberate and controlled now, because I'm trying to get the finer little details in the leaf, so it'll look pretty much like the leaf should look, not just you know. Yes, it's a painting, but not just a painting. Even though it's a painting, you can say, oh, it's a painting, but it's really close to a leaf, is what I'm trying to do with the majority of my work. I guess sometimes I feel like maybe I'm getting a little, detailed with my pieces, but I'm loving it, and I like the detail. And I think that the story is in the detail, right? If you put the detail in, it really tells all of the stories, not just you know the quick brown fox. You put in the details. It says the quick brown fox jumped over the lazy dog, so it gives you more of the story. What it's doing, the mood, those type of things is what I try to do with the detail. And sometimes I feel really good about how I got it, how I get there, and how I actually got what I was trying to do. Okay. Okay, I think I got it there. I think I got it to where I want to stop. It's it looks good to me. It looks like a good stopping place. I think I got everything shaded in how I wanted, so everything is tells its own little story, its own little piece in the overall story. I'm the flower, I'm the leaf, I'm the bud, and so on and so forth, even into the foliage. So I think I'm done. I think I'm gonna stop it here. It's another piece of creating art over 70. And before I close this out, I'd like to give some shout outs, some props. this is to the artists that were so influential in my development as an artist, as an artist as to where I am today. One and is Aaron Blaze. Aaron Blaze, he's over at creatureartteacher.com is his website. And I met Aaron at a Lightbox Expo, and I saw his art, and so I went over to his site, and I started, to see what he had to offer. At that time, I was interested in maybe possibly doing animation, but animation is really out of the question for me at my age because of the time that you really need in order to become good at the craft and do the implementation of what you are creating. It takes quite some time also. So, all right. Anyway, over at Aaron Blazes, he's a really, really incredible animator. However, I picked up quite a few of his techniques and styles with respect to like lighting and dynamic lighting and shading and learning about how to really focus on anatomy when you're creating all the little bitty subtle things. I learned from him. I stayed, I kept my membership for quite a few years. And we go back and review. However, I got to a point in my development where I started to go in a different direction. I no longer was really trying to focus on any type of animation, so I really wanted to develop my craft as a painter and a sketcher and that type of an artist. So that's the direction I took. However, in Aaron Blaze's site, there was just so much information, and he is without a doubt the number one artist out there. Yeah, and he is without a doubt one of the artists that I'm going to talk about here. He is the one that has been most influential in my art development, and my hat goes off to him. And I'm more than happy to give a shout out. There's no kickback or anything for these little accolades I'm getting ready to give out. It's just me sharing with you, and hopefully that if they can help you as they help me, then all is really good like that. Okay, the second person on my list is Joseph Daniels. You'll find Joseph Daniels. He's over at Udemy, and I went to Udemy originally because I was really trying to understand the dynamics of a lot of the digital software tools, because I was doing a lot of digital painting, and of course I was going to try to do animation in digital format. However, when I started to make the transition to the dry media, I went on Udemy and I was looking at some of the instructors. But and Joseph Daniel, he's not a pastel instructor. He teaches painting, acrylics and oils and things like that. However, the information that I got from taking his course was off the chain. I mean, he really helped me drive home some of the stuff that I learned from Aaron's stuff. For example, values and tones and things like that. He really helped me get a real good, solid understanding of the importance of values. And the thing about values are like a color change from its brightest color to its darkest color. In between are the values and the tones, whichever one you want to call it. But he strengthened that so much that now I know that no matter what color you're using to paint with, if you understand values, you can paint anything you want in any color you want, and it's going to come out relatively well. Okay, and so that's Joseph Daniels over at Udemy, and one of his painting courses. The third one is Reno Art, RENCO Art on Udemy, and he's an artist out there, and just watching him lay down his pieces helped me strengthen my drawing ability because I used to be locked in to putting grids and all that stuff, and put a grid over the reference, put a grid over the paper, and then drawing it in, those type of things. I went, there was a whole transition I went through because I wasn't really confident in my drawing skills, even though I knew I could draw and get it done. I wasn't confident in my drawing skills to where I could just sit in front of a piece of paper now and just look at the reference and just start going with it. Now I can do that, and I owe that to Reno Art at YouTube, because just by watching him and how his approaches in his laying down his art from start to finish, I was able to grasp that concept. He didn't teach that concept to me. I was able to learn it through visual learning, and now I can sit out and paint a portrait and paint a piece like this, a still piece like this, or paint relatively anything I want to paint, and I don't need to like grid it out and stuff like that. Don't get me wrong, I'm still can't visually throw in perspective, so I got to get out the rulers and things like that and kind of lay it in. So there's still some guidelines that I adhere to in order to lay down some pictures that require perspective, scenes and things like that. Okay, so and the last one on the list is Colin Bradley. He was the very first artist on YouTube that I watched doing pastels. And so what I did when I was watching him, I just took his little lessons and I just kind of like semi-follow along, I guess you would say. So I kind of follow along and get the gist of it. And so the very first piece I did along with him, I enjoyed it. It came out really, really well. And I was like, okay, so I watched a few more of his videos. However, the gist of that was he was mostly total pencils. He never, none of the lectures I watched of his varied between pencils and say pan pastels. Everything I watched that he did was pencils from start to finish, total pencils, little circulars, blah blah blah. And so the art he created was very, very nice. However, it seemed pretty time consuming to me. And I've done a few pieces where just pencils straight start to finish, and I enjoyed them. However, I didn't feel like I was still getting the richness, the depth, and the richness that I was striving for by just using the pencils. And so what I found now is with a combination of all the mediums, as far as the dry mediums, helps. Pan pastels, soft pastels, or pencil pastels. They all work well together. I actually saw one artist mixed a little bit of charcoal in the painting as opposed to using like the black pastel. I don't know why. I don't remember the course. I saw him do it. I go, whoa. And I kind of backed away. I said, nice idea, but I think I'll pass on that one. But anyway, here it is. This is the piece. I think I need to sign it. Let me sign this. Call it a day. I think I'm gonna sign it in this area right here. That looks kind of nice signing place, I think. These pencils don't seem to. This is pretty heavy there. Let me pause this for a second. Okay, look like I'm gonna have to knock this in a pencil first, and then come back and try to do it with the pen. The pen isn't going on like I was hoping. See if I can just paint in the signature. Okay. A little bit more. See if I can get that in, okay? So what I'm trying to do there is okay, there we go. I hope you enjoyed this session of creating art over 70. Thank you so much. I'm Rufus. See you in the next video.